It doesn't matter what I say, so long as I sing with inflection. That makes you feel I'll convey some inner truth or vast reflection. But I've said nothing so far, and I can keep it up for as long as it takes, and it don't matter who you are. If I'm doing my job, it's your resolve that breaks. Welcome to How to Write Good. I am your host, Daniel Poppie. You can find out more about me at danielpoppie.com. If it is your first time here, How to Write Good is a writing podcast that seeks to find principles and advice that can be applied across a broad range of writing situations. If you've been here before, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button below, and share. So there's this idea in the arts that a good final end product is not wholly in the hands of the creator. And I've seen it a lot in conversations about Star Wars. When people talk about Star Wars, the original trilogy is what I mean. When they talk about Star Wars, they say that George Lucas captured lightning in a bottle. There was a whirlwind in the production, and it just happened to be the case that everything fell together and he came out with this blockbuster hit that changed how movies were done, that changed how people interacted with movies. I don't know if that's the case with Star Wars. I don't know if that's the case with movies because I don't know movies. But I also think that pantsers, people who make no plan for their books, have this idea when they write a story as well. They have this idea that they are following the story to the final end product. They are following where it leads. And if it turns out to be a great story, it's not necessarily their fault. They managed somehow to connect to a muse and capture lightning in a bottle. I know different things are meant by this idea of following the story where it leads, but I think when people have this idea that they are actually following a story, that they're actually peering into the mist of a story and they're following it forward, I think this is actually a ridiculous idea because art doesn't lead us anywhere. Art that we are creating as the creator doesn't lead us anywhere. It isn't sentient. We are following our own stream of consciousness. And some people might argue that that's the same thing, but we do have a lot of control over what we think. And because we have a large amount of control over what we think, we have a large control over what we are creating using our mind. Now, with this idea of following stories and capturing lightning in a bottle, with this idea that art springs out of chance, I think that a lot of newer writers can get a sense that their books will be a shot in the dark for whether that book is good or not. So some of you might have recognized the lyrics to the song I was quoting at the beginning of this episode. It is a very famous song called Hook by Blues Traveler. And the song is all about how the musician knows how to write a song and he knows what he's doing, so he can get you, the listener, caught up in the song because he knows that the hook is going to bring the person back. So if you don't know what a hook is in a song, it is essentially the chorus. And again, what the songwriter is saying, what the musician is saying, is that he knows his craft well enough that he doesn't even need to put words in that matter. He just says them in a way, he sings them in a way, he puts the music together in a way that connects to the person who is listening. Because in the end, when we're listening to music, if we have very good music and very stupid lyrics, we are going to listen to that music. And if we have very good lyrics and very bad music, we are not going to listen to that music in general. I don't put it past people to listen to music that is very bad but has very good lyrics. But my point is that when you are listening to music, the thing that matters when you're listening to music is the actual music. So any lyrics can be plugged in to that music and you're still going to enjoy that music. When we listen to any song, certain things draw us to music. And it is the same thing with video games. There are certain aspects of video games that draw us into the game. There are certain aspects of paintings that draw our eyes and make us want to look at that painting. And there are certain aspects of stories and writing that make us want to read a book. And all these aspects of all these different art forms can be known. That's why we actually have this idea of music theory in schools. So I am not a musician, but I have friends who are musicians, and I have a friend who went to school for music, and what he told me is essentially classical musicians dredged the depths of the 12 tonal system. So they found what you can do with it and how you can put things together in a way that works. And since the 12 tonal system was only dealing with 12 tones, it makes sense that you can easily get to the bottom of everything you can possibly do with that system. Video games and paintings and stories are in a way a lot more organic than the 12 tones of music. So because video games and paintings and stories are a lot more organic and there are a lot more pieces, it is harder to dredge the depths of those things, but people have gotten pretty far down. Good art, good video games, good books, I would even say great books, don't arise from luck. Their success might be from luck. That is a different thing. Their success might be from luck, though I'm not convinced of that either, but the fact that they are a good book is not based off of luck. If you have ever written a book, think of all the time, think of all the effort, think of the steps it took to get to the point where your book was finished. Think of the ideas that were swirling through your head. Think of the time, if you do outline, think of the time you took to outline. Think of the time it took to write your first draft. What about those countless hours you spent editing? Was all the effort you spent on that book luck? Were the choices you made when you were editing that book to make the story flow luck? Were the word choices you made to make the writing better luck? If you have written a book, you know you go through every single word over and over again. You go through every paragraph. You determine whether they flow together. There's different parts. There's different pieces. You understand those pieces, and you're all trying to push them toward the end goal of that book being good. And I don't know why you'd call that luck. And I don't call that luck because it doesn't look like luck to me. Now you might say, yeah, sure, that makes sense, but my book turned out like crap. Well, it might be the case that you're still learning how to write a good book. And it might be the case that you actually have to write about 5 or 6 books before you get to the end point where you actually get to a good book. But I don't think art, I don't think writing, I don't think these things come together by chance and just show up as good. I think it takes a lot of effort. I think it takes a lot of sweat and sometimes tears to get to the end result. But maybe I'm all off. If you are someone who thinks that it was just luck, I would appreciate you telling me that. If you're watching this on video, tell me below. If you're listening to this, you can reach out to me on social media. If you enjoyed this, you're probably wondering how you can support me. Well, you can actually do 2 simple things. Follow the first link below to grab a copy of my book, and then follow the second link and sign up for my newsletter. It's that simple. Those 2 things will mean the world to me and give me more time to write books and create content for you. As always, my name is Daniel Poppie, and this is How to Write Good.